Greetings, YouTube. And who says I don't make my builds with love? This is going to be my latest weapons build. Yes, I'm going to weaponize love. There's a joke in there. My friend Amy already made it. So this is a piece of art. I guess it was based off of an actual larger scale piece. This is a smaller scale version thereof. It's made out of stainless steel. It weighs 628 grams, which is like 1 pound 6 ounces. So this is it's a pretty hefty piece of steel there. And I'm going to take it and I'm going to make a flail out of it. So I'm going to use this shiny piece of chrome here, which I believe was part of a closet or something. Two pieces that slid inside each other. They were salvage for me. I just got them for nothing. I already used one in another build. The geometric mace I posted probably not long ago. And I'm going to be using this eye bolt here, which it's not much of an eye bolt at the moment. It will be closed, but I'm done. To be the fastener between this and this, which is a piece of chain currently attached to a lock. And I got this at an estate sale for a song. It was closed a moment ago. It was actually locked into a loop. I don't have a key for this thing. It's a master lock, so it wouldn't be difficult to open if I wanted to. But I'm just going to keep it right like this. I may use it as a flail head at some point in the future. Who knows? But at the moment, there's no reason to remove it. So I'm going to figure out, I'm probably going to use about a foot of this. This is going to be a two-handed flail, and I'm going to drill a single hole here. Now, if I can space it correctly, one of the nuts will end up just in here, just close enough so that I can use this hole, this ridge right here, where the top of the V, to hold the bottom nut in place. That way I won't have to get a wrench in there, which will make my life a lot easier. And because of the way this is shaped, and it's going to be coming at this angle, because I'll be drilling perpendicular to this surface, I will be able to get to that nut with a wrench without any difficulty. So that will make my overall life easier. I will have to cut this down once I get the whole thing figured out, and I figure out how long I want this to be. I'm going to put this on there when I'm ready. Then I'll just close it up with a vise so that it is pinched. And I'm going to use here, and I'm going to put a bolt through this piece of tubing. I'll go figure out if I have a bolt. I think I might have a bolt that will work already, make my life a little easier. Otherwise, I will make a bolt out of a piece of threaded rod if I don't have one. Then it's just assembly. This is a very simple build. It's going to be 2 holes here and here, and some very simple work with closing this up. Obviously, if you have an eye bolt that's already closed, you have to open it first, and I suggest using a cold chisel. That's how I've had some success. I will hold a bolt like this in a vise like this, and then just use a cold chisel to get into that gap, and ching, 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 and you tap it, and it just opens right up for you. You put the chain in, you put it back in the vise, and you close it. Obviously, this does mean you need a vise, but I consider a vise to be one of the most basic items in a shop after you acquire a tool bench. And tool benches can be had cheaply. I picked up this, which is a Husky. Is this a Husky? I think it's a Husky. It's a house brand tool bench from Home Depot. Or Lowe's, maybe it's not a Husky, I don't know, but it's a pre-built one, and I paid $40 for it at a yard sale. But this one over here, I actually made for almost nothing. The bed, the 2 blue legs, the diagonal supports, the metal shelf on the bottom, all of that was free. That's just salvage. I had to pay for the wooden top and the fasteners that hold the wooden top in place. That's it. So sometimes you get lucky. So first thing I'm going to do is I want to clean off that. And what a shocker! This was made in China. So clean that up, get this set up into a vise, and then we'll drill a hole. Woohoo! So I have the location for the hole located. That's going to be just come in so that the flat will kiss this right here, which is awesome. And I took the base off, that little pad off, and I found 2 threaded holes, which I didn't know were there. Maybe that was how they mounted this for machining? I don't know, but I don't need them. I'm just going to ignore them. And so now I'm going to put this in my new rig. Now this is a machinist vise. I've had this for a while. You may have seen it in videos. This is a new rig for holding said machinist vise in place. See how that moves around? See how that doesn't move around anymore? These are magnetic bases. Now, this, what you're looking at right here, there's 4 of these bases. I picked them up at Harbor Freight for 13 bucks a pop, so this whole thing cost me $52. They did come with stands here for holding measuring instruments, which I still have in case I ever want to use them for something. This is a dupe. And what do I mean by a dupe? Well, if your people in the makeup field will know that a dupe is a copy of a actual product that you can't afford to buy. Mag Switch, a company, makes a base that does just this. It costs $300. I was introduced to it by the crafter online on YouTube, Izzy Swan. Great guy, great channel. I'd recommend it. But I can't afford 300 bucks. I can afford $52, particularly seeing as if I want to move this to another vise, and I have more than one of these. I have one that needs some TLC. This is in nice shape. I picked this up at an an antique shop for $7, so that was a steal. But I can afford this, especially particularly seeing as I can move it from vise to vise, and I can actually use these as bases if I ever want to in the future. Be aware that if you want to do this, these are metric. This is an M8 1.25 pitch thread, and I use 16mm bolts, which work just perfectly. The washers came with the bases themselves, so I didn't have to worry about those. Though washers are universal. If you get a 5/8 inch washer, or rather a 5/16 washer, it'll work with these. So this is going to mean I can now locate this exactly where I want it, and at any time without having to bolt it in place, which is a game changer, because that means I will be much more likely to use this thing, because now I can use it safely. I'm not going to have to hold this thing with my hand. I can use it with this base and have it be rock solid. Also, the unintended advantage is this now clears the base, clears my table. So I can turn it this way as opposed to having to do it, kind of some kind of hinky way like this. Nope, I can just leave it at 90 degree angle and just move it at my heart's content. It is awesome. I did discover that these 2 pieces of scrap metal I've got here, if I put them there, give me a nice solid foundation, because I want to be as firm as I can when I'm drilling this. I don't want to just have to rely on the vise itself going this way. I want to have this pressure as well as support on a downward pressure, because I'm going to be drilling through stainless steel. Alright, so now I'm going to set this up, and we're going to put a hole in this thing and hope that my setup here will in fact do what I think it's going to do. Okay, all of the components are now ready. I have the hole here, which is going to take this bolt. I'm going to have a washer and a nut on the other side. I got a foot-long piece of chain. As I said, I've just passed it through there. Then I crimped that closed with my vise. One of the nice things that I can do is, because there are these 2 fasteners here that hold these spool plates on, so you can replace the plates or swap them out, I was able to put that here right in those little cups. So that meant when I'm closing it like this, I'm not worrying about it slipping and sliding this way, which makes the whole process a lot easier, because it takes a fair amount of force, even with a vise, to crimp that down that far. And as I said, if you ever have to open one of these things up, even if it's a big heavy gauge like this, just use a cold chisel and should be able to get that in there without too many problems. Got my fasteners, and I would like to apologize. This is not stainless steel, because this thing drilled like a dream. My drill bit just went through there so pretty. Long, thin, curly cues coming out of that hole. There's no way this thing's stainless steel. So the only thing I can think, it's not magnetic. So I'm thinking pot metal. that's the only thing I can think of. It's still, it's still 638 grams, or 628 grams, at least it was before I drilled a hole in it. And the weight will be going back up again once I attach everything to it. But yeah, I don't know what this is. Like I said, it may be pot metal. I'm not 100% sure on that. We're going to find that out, maybe never, because I'm not going to find out who made this or what their construction processes are. I am going to take a look at one more thing before I'm done. I may want to make an adjustment to something. So the next scene you see will be, I think, a fully assembled weapon. And here is the finished product. So when I tightened this down, I wanted to use a lock washer on this, and in the process I did crimp this ever so slightly because it isn't particularly thick walled. Here's my chain attached through the bolt through there, so that gives it a nice clean look on the inside. This is all set. I got that nut in place by putting a small piece of duct tape here, just made a reverse loop of duct tape, stuck the nut on there, and then slid this whole thing in place till I lined it up with the hole, and then passed that through, and then just screwed it in place till I was happy with it, and then used this as the locking nut on the outside, which is simple because you just pass a metal thing through here, wrench on there, and you're tight. And that's not going to move because, again, I drilled the hole so that the nut is being captured by this lip right there. So that makes my life very easy. I don't have to put a tool on the inside. I would have preferred to put a nut on the inside of this because that would have prevented some of the crimping issue I had. Unfortunately, I didn't have any 5/16 threaded rod kicking around to make my own nut, make my own bolt, and didn't have any 5/16 bolts that didn't have a straight unthreaded section like that. So that was not an option, so I'm just kind of going with this. But with the locking washer on there, that's not coming loose. Not to mention, this is never going to be used. This is an art project. It is, however, a really dangerous art project. Again, 628 grams of metal here, probably pot metal, but still metal. It's got lots and lots of points. Obviously, this was not the intention when they made this thing, but this makes a really dangerous impact head because of all those little points. I'm not going to say how well it would survive that impact because it's probably going to bend and maybe even snap off some of these things if they hit like something hard like a helmet. But right now it looks really darn cool because, you know, as the saying goes, love hurts. Yeah, I know, it's a dad joke. Okay, so I am done with this. I'm now going to take some stills for this video, as well as stills for my DeviantArt page. And if you don't follow me on DeviantArt and Instagram, you should. DeviantArt is the permanent home of the stills of my projects, and Instagram is where I post bargains I find, sneak previews, the projects themselves, of course, as well as cute cat pictures, and who doesn't love a cute cat picture? Alright, so thank you for being here. I really appreciate it. I hope you enjoyed yourself, and I hope you'll come back for the next one.